Welcome to Southern Sense Talk on Rumble. You are going to love Annie the Radio Chick-A-Dee Ubelis and her co-host, C.S. Bennett. You'll find them live here on Fridays from 2:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Date Time. Check out their website at Southern Sense, as in commonsense.net. It's that easy, southernsense.net. So sit back and relax. They're informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey.
All right, and welcome back to another adventure here live on Southern Sense. I'm your hostess with the least mostest, the Radio Chick-A-Dee, Annie Ubelis. We do not have a co-host today. Curtis had some other obligations, so he will not be joining us. So I am flying solo. So you're going to have a blast finding out how well I do all on my little lonesome. Want to welcome everyone here up on Facebook, LinkedIn, up on YouTube, X, Rumble, Substack, and live on our homepage, which is southernsense.net. We got ourselves some great guests as usual. We'll be starting off the show, returning guest, Dr. Carole Lieberman. And she's got a new book out called Lions and Tigers and Terrorists. Oh my, how to protect your child in a time of terror. At schools and cafes, hospitals and bookstores, and helping families cope with terrorism. Her book has won the Paris Book Festival recently. Later on in the show, we're going to have Salvador Litvak. No, Sal Litvak. You can find him up on X. It's your pal Sal. He has a new book out, Let My People Laugh, Jewish Jokes of All Time. And he's also the director of an upcoming action film, and it's titled Guns and Moses. He also has with his wife, Nina, the website, The Accidental Talmudist. So we've got ourselves a great show going on today. And just a little start off, I don't know about you guys, but I get AMAC magazine. This is the rival to AARP, but it is for conservatives just like you and I. And it doesn't push a lot of these things like AARP did for the Obamacare. And they are more in line with what you and I think. And they've got the same thing AAA has and AARP at less, and it's not offensive. So I found this, and this year they named President Donald J. Trump AMAC's Man of the Year for 2024. So congratulations, President Trump. You think about it, they named him when he was the 45th president, as well as the 47th president. And in the few months he has been in office, he has done more for this nation than any previous president has done. So, guys, if you can, pick up the AMAC magazine. I encourage you to read it. I believe it's amac.com. Yeah, I've been getting this for so many years, I don't even pay attention. It just comes automatically in the mail. And it's got a lot of great articles in it. Matter of fact, there's one from Newt Gingrich in this issue. I also did a AMAC Person of the Year poll results, which they held on February 21st of this year. And President Trump received, I believe it's nearly 60% of all votes. And what came in second place was you and me, you and I, the MAGA voters. They came in second place, followed by Elon Musk, then J.D. Vance, Melania Trump, Charlie Kirk, Scott Klessler, Laura Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Joe Rogan, and the bottom of the list, Vivek Ramaswamy. So, guys, check it out. There's some other things, too, I want to go over before we go into our dedication. Yesterday, the House did pass the amended budget bill. I mean, there's a lot of people still kicking and screaming over it, but the budget bill has been passed. They advanced a resolution that will allow Congress to move forward with the sweeping legislative agenda. It was a 216 to 214 vote. The lower chamber approved it. in spite of lingering concerns about the financial impact of the Senate's instructions. Tom Massey and Victoria Spartz opposed the package. Among other things, it'll be the largest tax and regulation cuts ever contemplated in this legislation. I'm trying to see what else is inside here. They did require a reconciliation process with the Senate, which has been, and Republicans were using a 60-vote filibuster to prevent it. But otherwise, this has now passed. So that is now going to go further down to Trump. Here's some good news. For those of the military men and women out there that left the service because they refused the jab, the Pentagon is now currently taking troops back. The U.S. Army Reserves, I believe, are the first groups coming back in. Under the new policy, former service members who qualify reinstatement will be eligible to receive back pay and benefits that they would have earned had they remained in the service. This directive is in line with the executive order that Trump signed during his first week in office to reinstate troops who were forced out for refusing the vaccine. Service members forced out have been able to return since 2023, but without back pay. So fewer than 80 people out of at least 8,700 service members came back under that policy. So guys and gals, if you did leave the service and you do want to come back, you are eligible to do that. So please check it out. We need men and women like you to stand up for our constitutional rights. And God bless you for doing so. The Navy has released a document that explains the entire process. So check out their website. The sailors are eligible for back pay, housing, and food allowances and bonuses they would have had earned, minus any income, VA benefits, separation payments, TSP contributions, or DOD debts. So check it out, guys. When you do get ready to go back, find out, which service, whatever service you had been separated from, what are the rules and requirements? Because some of you may end up deciding it's not worth going back because you're going to lose a lot more money because of what you earned on the outside. So just check it out. And like I said, we need men and women like you back in the service to stand up for our constitutional rights. Something else I picked up along the way before coming on air. God bless Elon Musk. He has found now that there are fake people, not yet born, in the future that are claiming unemployment benefits. Doge is working. Ronald Reagan made a lot of cuts to our budget. Teddy Roosevelt did, Ronald Reagan, and now it looks like Trump is doing it, and he is really, really carving out a lot of theft and waste. Doge, in their initial review, found that since 2020, 9,700 people whose birth dates weren't for another 15 years in the future have claimed $69 million in unemployed benefits that have been administered by the state governments. So I'm here in South Carolina, and we have our own Freedom Caucus. And with certain groups, I still run a Tea Party, we have a weekly Zoom meeting. And one of the things they were talking about in the Zoom meeting was about a statewide Doge. And guys, if you are out there and you are involved in some groups out there, be they Tea Parties, 9/11 groups, whatever conservative groups are out there that you're working with, even if you're with your local GOP or state GOP, find out about whether or not your state has a group there that's willing to do Doge. Whether it's inside the state government or outside agency working with the state government. We do have one working with our state government at this point. We don't have one internally yet. We're pushing for it, whether or not because we're going into an election cycle for a new governor here in South Carolina. Depending upon who wins that election will determine whether or not we have a state sponsored Doge or whether or not we need to continue as an outside agency. I'm trying to think, Open the Books, which is a website Andrew Adrzinski started, God rest his soul. They have new leadership in there. They have been doing a lot in exposing waste and fraud in federal state and local governments. So if you don't have something in your state, check out Open the Books, and maybe they can help you with your state. There's a lot here that we can do sitting on the other side. It's great for you to listen to me, but what you need to do is also find some way to take action, whether or not it's penning a letter to your elected official, getting involved in some local politics or group. It could be anything. Don't just sit there and complain. Get up and do something. Pick up the AMAC magazine. Also, they have initiatives that if you want to get active, you can through AMAC also. They have different organizations state by state that you can take initiative with also. So check out amac.com also. With that said, I'm running out of breath. Each and every show we do, we start off with a dedication to a fallen hero. And today's dedication is going to go out to Sergeant Rick Finley of the McNairy County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee. His end of watch was on Saturday, December 14th of 2024. And this is courtesy of Fox 13.
And we begin tonight at 10 with that deadly police-involved shooting that happened yesterday in Selmer, Tennessee. Tonight, that officer's body is back in his hometown of McNairy County. Fox 13 is learning more about what led up to the shooting of that officer, now identified as Sergeant Rick Finley. Let's head out to Fox 13's Lakia Scott. She is live tonight in McNairy County and Selmer. Lakia, you have learned more about this investigation.
Yeah, Dan, I'm learning that Sergeant Rick Finley worked full-time with the McNairy County Sheriff's Department. He was also working part-time with the Selmer Police Department. Now, investigators say that he was working as a police officer on Saturday, answering a suspicious person call when he was shot and killed. Now, today, law enforcement and the community, they paid tribute to Sergeant Finley, who was taken to Memphis after that fatal shooting. They brought him back here to McNairy County. One by one, officers from multiple law enforcement agencies paid their respects to the fallen officer. Fox 13 followed in that motorcade. Dozens aligned the roads on the route showing support. We're getting more from that investigation tonight. According to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, Selmer police officers responded to a report of a suspicious person outside a home in the 100 block of New Bethel Road. They got this call after 3 o'clock. In a separate report, the Selmer Police Department says the suspect was trying to force his way into a home and fired several shots into the door. Now, when Officer Finley arrived, police say the suspect, 39-year-old Daniel Jeremiah Holmes, attacked Officer Finley and shot him several times.
Our prayers need to be with his family and with this community right now. It's just tough.
Just very thankful for our police officers. I think everybody needs to just realize that every day that they go to work, they are potentially sacrificing their lives for us.
Now, TBI reports that a second officer was able to make the scene and take down that suspect shooting and killing Daniel Holmes. I also spoke with Sheriff Guy Buck, who told me that Officer Finley worked with the McNairy County Sheriff's Department for 13 years. Again, he was working part-time as a police officer with the Selmer Police Department on Saturday when he was shot and killed. Now, Sheriff Buck, he says that they are looking at Thursday to hold memorial services, but that date is tentative. But they are planning on holding those services at First Baptist Church here in Selmer. Daniel.
Thoughts are certainly with law enforcement tonight and his family. Lakia Scott Forrest starting our live coverage off at 10 from McNairy County. Lakia, thanks.
And last Saturday, Rick gave it all to the town of Selma, all of us. And I thank you, Rick. That's what we're here today for, is to commend Rick for what he has done for us.
The final goodbye to a Mid-South police officer who's lost his life in the line of duty. Tonight, Selmer, Tennessee, McNairy County, and the Mid-South are all mourning the loss of Sergeant Rick Finley. He was shot and killed while responding to a suspicious persons call Saturday afternoon in Selmer.
Well, tonight, his loved ones, his friends said their final goodbyes. Fox 13's Jack Bilyeu attended Sergeant Finley's funeral today and shows how the community he served paid their respects.
Sergeant Finley served with the Selmer Police Department and the McNairy County Sheriff's Office, but his funeral was packed with deputies, troopers, and officers from agencies across the region. Friends and coworkers told the story of Finley's life, from a childhood spent outside to teenage years dedicating himself to martial arts. Finley served in the Army National Guard and served 2 deployments to Iraq before returning home and joining law enforcement. He left behind a pregnant wife and 3 children.
The thin blue line was in action our last Saturday when Rick went to do his job and gave the ultimate sacrifice. And it's something that we will never, ever forget, because Rick is a hero. He is a hero.
Now, Finley's family was given the American flag that was draped over his casket, and while the crowd walked out, they played his last call over the sanctuary loudspeakers. I'm putting that together for tonight at 10. In Selmer, Jack Bilyeu, Fox 13 News.
Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free, we led with grace. Let it be seen, from sea to shining sea, beautiful America, living our legacy. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be known as people of honor, humble and bold, faithful through fire. Let us hold firm to our convictions with wide open hearts, eager to listen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us make room. Let us reimagine, welcoming voices with true compassion. Let's craft a world with hopes and dreams, challenges known and those still unseen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be sure, when our time has come, we gave them hope, we made them strong. Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free, yeah, we led with grace. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation.
All right, and I am back. You will notice Curtis is missing today. He had a medical appointment of some sort he couldn't change, so he will be with us. Next Friday is Good Friday. I do not broadcast on Good Friday. I may put something up that's pre-recorded. I'm not sure yet. I've got a couple of days to think about that, but just to know, I will not be live, but there will be something posted next Friday, and Curtis will be with us the week after that. We're going to be talking to a gentleman, a detective by the name of Clue Wright, in reference to a homicide that occurred in Florida. And that will be very interesting, what has been covered and the background on that. So we're going to just go a little off base in 2 weeks and do something a little bit different, delving into this murder mystery. It'll be fun to do something a little bit different. But in continuation to what I was talking about before we went to the dedication, and that music was by a friend of our shows, Tiffany, Soul of the Nation. You can find that by going up to her website under Tiffany. Talking about Elon Musk and a Doge and uncovering millions in taxpayer dollars wasted on unemployment claims. And I found articles in the New York Post, articles up on the Epoch Times, and in a couple other locations. Just, I always like to look at different angles, people's different looks, but they're almost reporting exactly the same thing, which I find very interesting because this is just a little bit too blatant. In one absurd case that Elon Musk team has uncovered, besides the 9,700 people who have not yet been born collecting 69 million in benefits, this is really strange. Why the government didn't catch this? This person has not yet been born, and they listed their birth date as 2154. I'm sorry, 2154? That's 120 some odd years in 128 years in the future, and they're collecting unemployment. According to this one, it was $41,000 they've collected so far for someone who's not been yet born 120 some odd years in the future. Another 24,500 people in the impossible age of 115 have been collecting unemployment benefits in the amount of 59 million. And some 28,000 between the age of 1 and 5, obviously not yet employable, have also claimed an additional 254 million in benefits. I mean, these are all fake claims. So it's bad enough we're paying Social Security to people that are 300 years old or more. But now we're paying unemployment benefits to people that have not yet been born, much less old enough to be employed. And some of this fraud that they have been doing with the unemployment benefits also is impacting the COVID-19 relief funds by including enhanced unemployment benefits, and in which many cases has been proven, whether or not it's unclear, some of the birth issues could be explained, but particularly in states that are using outdated data sources. This is really, really odd. I mean, 129 years in the future, and they're paying someone unemployment benefits. Representative Nicole Militakis has estimated, she stated it's been estimated between 135 and 400 billion in unemployment benefits have been stolen by fraudsters since the outbreak of COVID. And she goes on to say, that is why the House recently passed legislation, which she co-sponsored, to claw back funds lost to fraud and to extend the statute of limitations so those criminals can be prosecuted. I mean, it's one thing to expose the fraud, But I'm glad to see that they're going to use the arm of the law to go after the people that have committed these frauds. I mean, our government has become so bloated, so out of control with these bureaucrats and agencies that are not authorized by Congress, but by someone's will of the pen. We have agencies we have no idea even exist are inside our federal government. This is not what our founding fathers put together for us. This is not what they perceived our nation to be. It was supposed to be a nation of limited government. Limited government. And the power of the people went down to the states and local. And yet we have a bloated federal bureaucracy that is paying unemployment benefits to a child that is yet to be born 129 years in the future. This is outrageous. Billions and billions of dollars are being tossed out the window. This is your tax dollars. If we go back to the 1920s and 30s, only between 12 and 16% of your tax that's collected went to the federal government. Today, that amount is 60% of the taxes you pay go to feed this federal government. That's outrageous. That is unacceptable. And I'm glad to see that we're finally doing something about it. And like I said, you've got to get active somewhere and see if you can get your elected officials to do a doge within your state. Because if they're uncovering this on the federal level, imagine what you're going to uncover inside your own state, your local council, your city council, your town council, your parish, your county, whatever it is. What's going on locally also? How much of your tax dollars are getting wasted? This past year, I fought our county council on a sales tax. And we won. We actually won. And it was going to be $1 billion sales tax. And on projects that have already been paid for in a sales tax that was completed several years before. But the tax was complete, but the projects were never completed. And because the projects were not completed prior to the COVID outbreak, they said, well, when COVID came in, we couldn't do it. All the costs and everything went out the window. We can't afford it. So in order to complete those old projects, we have to now pass this new $1 billion tax. And we're going to throw extra projects in there too. Some things that we would love to see happen. We're a small community. We're not the largest county within the state. I mean, the previous sales tax was for like maybe 200, 300 million, and they wanted $1 billion in this one. So we fought them. And to prove that they were wasting our money, I took a video camera and I drove around looking at the unfinished projects. And one of them was a huge U-turn to nowhere. You literally left the entrance of this one shopping center, crossed over the traffic light into a sparsely populated neighborhood of people, high-end houses. You hit the end of the road, came back around, came back up to the same main roadway you just exited a block away, next to a Taco Bell. There were no stores behind there. There was no reason for this huge U-turn. It was a U-turn to nowhere. You got to know what's going on locally. If you don't participate locally, how do you know what's going on with your state? If you don't know what's going on with your state, we sure as heck don't know what's going on with our federal government. So we've got to bring we the people back to the local. Because if you get away with it locally, they'll get away with it at the state, and they sure as heck are getting away with it federally. That's a rant for me for today. So hopefully our guest will call in very shortly. She should be doing so about now. Yeah. And if she is, we'll proceed with Dr. Carole Lieberman. But there's another article I picked up while we wait for her. And this is a point in case. This is a perfect reason why what I'm saying means a lot. New York City has a mayoral race going on. And there is, I cannot believe this is they're actually thinking about doing this. This was from the New York Post, and it was from their editorial board. There's a supermarket mogul by the name of John, I'm trying to pronounce his last name, Katsimatitis. And it seems that his family owns these these huge supermarkets. And there's a Democratic socialist running for mayor in New York City. And his name is Zoran Mamdani. Mamdani? I'm probably not pronouncing it correctly. I really don't care. But this mayoral candidate wants to open up city-run supermarkets. And this supermarket mogul, goes by the name of Katz, has agreed to pilot a program. And there was one big caveat on this. He said, we'll help you run this program when you become elected mayor. And this guy, Katz, said, if they want to try an experiment, I will be helpful, as long as the city makes up the shortfall for shoplifting. So, okay. Guys, you're living in New York City. You're shopping in New York City. You're doing business in New York City. You're employed in New York City. So you're paying New York City taxes out the wazoo. And oh, by the way, you're not living in New York City, but you're employed in New York City and living in the suburbs. You're still paying taxes into New York City because they're taxing your employment, or at least they were when I left. So it doesn't matter. You're going to be paying New York City taxes to support city-run supermarkets. And this guy, this supermarket mogul, Katz, is going to be making money off the city, your taxes. And if someone shoplifts inside New York City, gee, like that would never happen, would it? Yeah, think that maybe you're running a city-run supermarket and there won't be any shoplifting? And then he'll run these supermarkets as long as the city pays for any damages and lost merchandise from shoplifters. Now, picture this. Wasn't it in New York City, along Fifth Avenue and Broadway and all the other major shopping areas, that gangs were going in, and the whole gangs were going in and just stealing as much as they can carry out and jumping into cars and vans and whatever else and taking off? So now you've got a city-run supermarket. Well, who's going to stop these gangs from going in, doing massive theft? And you don't have enough New York City police officers to stop this. So you've got a private enterprise running a supermarket in New York City. You really can't have a cop because it's a private enterprise, even though the city's running it inside the supermarket. So how do you stop the shoplifting? So wait a minute, New York City, if you do elect this guy, if you really are stupid enough to elect this guy, why don't you just put out a sign saying free groceries? Because that's exactly what's going to happen if this guy gets elected and decides to run city-run supermarkets in New York City. It's going to be a free-for-all, free food. I mean, they can't even run the DMV properly. They can't even run the post office. And don't get me started on the post office, folks. Oh, man. All right. And it turns out that the publicist for Dr. Carole got the time frame wrong. So she's trying to reach Dr. Carole to see if she can join us. That's the problem when you're dealing with the time zones. And I always do say when I invite the guest, Eastern Date Time, New York City time, Eastern Coast time. And sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they don't get it wrong. But guys, I mean, if you're up in one of the chat rooms and you want to post a comment on New York City running city-run supermarkets, just you gotta. I'm sorry, this is just too friggin' funny. You know, a lot of people that live in New York, they fled communist regimes in Europe and Latin America and Asia, and trying to convince these people that emigrated to New York City for freedom that a communist-style supermarket is going to work in New York City. You're worrying about the cost of eggs now, but with the bloat of New York City government in New York City, what's the cost of eggs going to be in New York City? I'm going to say, let me guess, maybe $12 a dozen. I mean, just be safe, though. I mean, this guy looks like he has a war chest. Is that $8 million? And nearly all of the money came from taxpayers anyway. I'm sorry. You just can't make some of this stuff up, folks. You really, really can't make some of this stuff up. Anyway, while we're waiting for Dr. Carole to call in, there is a clip that I want to play. And it's something that I found when I was doing my research for Sal Litvak. And it's from... Okay, let me see if I can find everything here. This is from on X. He has a website called Jew Hate Database. It's a database that collects the anti-Semitism that is now raging throughout the nation. And she went to go into a Staples store. And I'm going to tell you right now, this video says it better than anyone else because I found this so outrageous. And this is at a Staples, mind you. And I've never known Staples to ever take a political stance anywhere. All they care about is you, the consumer, which a good capitalist should do. Service you, the consumer. But they decided, this one particular store decided to do their own political correctness. And I'll play this video from up on X from the Jew Hate Database.
Not able to print anything that has any racist messaging.
What is racist about?
Zionist specifically.
Zionist is not racist other than I'm black.
I understand that I am too, but I'm also Arab. So I do understand the definition of Zionism.
I don't know what definition you have, but it's not the definition that I have.
Okay, well, like I said,
and it's clearly stated for black Jewish Zionists.
I understand that Judaism does not equal Zionism.
Are you Jewish?
My grandfather is.
You said you were Arab.
Correct.
Because I'm Jewish, so I know what Judaism is, and I know what Zionism means. I don't know what definition you have. What definition do you have?
That's not really the point.
No, it is, because you say racist, and that doesn't make any sense. And it's not racist because you have your own interpretation of a religion you don't belong to that you made up in your head.
With my upper management.
Your upper management.
Yes, I can call them here.
Yes, definitely. Call them. Definitely. You guys said it's racist, and it's not. You guys have your... Yeah, so I printed out, and the thing is that, I just wanted to make sure I said this on the video, there's also, they refuse to print out my postcards for the BJZ squad, and not only that, they also refuse to print out my postcards about Jewish joy. So not only do they misinterpret what Zionism means, they also don't like Jews being happy. It literally said, and it can't be denied because it's shown on the project. It's shown, yes it is, it said, my Jewish joy is every time that I laugh, every time I look in the mirror, and that being Jewish and alive today is something to be celebrated. And you refused to print that, which means that you are anti-Semitic. No, that's not how it works, actually, but you refuse to print out. You refuse to print out cards that said, because there's two different projects, there's two different printouts projects, and there's one that's like purple and pink, and then there's one that's green. And the one that is green is only about Jewish joy. So I printed out, and the thing is that, I just wanted to make sure I said this on the video, there's also, they refuse to print out, came here for a full order, and...
That's it. We're done. You're starting too much. Nobody wants to deal with you. There is way too much going on right now in the world for you to act like that with employees who are just trying to do their job.
Well, he wasn't doing his job.
To get out of here.
He wasn't doing his job.
Stop
Do you know what
yelling.
happens?
No, I don't care.
Okay.
I don't want to hear you yell.
Here's what happens.
Shut up.
Here's what happens.
Leave it alone and shut the fuck up.
No.
There are a lot of people that need service.
If making a card about making a card about Jewish joy.
I appreciate
it. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. I mean, I think that basically said it for everything. That's completely outrageous. You're at a Staples, and this person who's Arabic obviously had this thing against Jews. And what is Zionism is that you stand for the Jewish state. You believe that the Jewish state has the right to exist. That country has a right to be who they are. And that's what Zionism basically is. But no, they make it sound like it's a slur. It's something nasty, it's something horrible. But it's not. And here she had something else. Another one that just says, I'm happy to be Jewish. And that was considered hateful also. Now, wait a minute. If you have been watching these anti-Musk protests and everything else, you'll see these signs that people are carrying, and it has the numbers 8647. Now, I didn't know what that stood for. And then I did a little research, and I found out that it stands for, when you say 86, it means that you're going to cut something out. You're going to dump it. You're going to drop it. You're going to kill that project. It's 86. Or if you're in a restaurant business and someone doesn't want the order they just placed in, and the order's been placed with the chef, you call in the kitchen, 86 that order for spaghetti and meatballs, whatever it is. You 86 it. You cut it out. But what was the 47? 47 stood for President number 47, Donald J. Trump. So it was a call by any means possible to terminate Donald J. Trump. Now, if that's not hate speech, I don't know what is. That's an open call to cause harm to the President of the United States and to this nation. And yet, if she prints a postcard with Zionism on it, saying she's proud to be a Black Jewish Zionist, that's hateful. Do you understand the hypocrisy that we're talking about right at this moment? And that's exactly what it is, complete hypocrisy at this moment. And it's okay for the other side to do this. It's okay for them to go out and smash Teslas, private property. The cars didn't do anything bad. Now, the cars are supposed to be environmentally friendly, and you're the people promoting this green stuff, having cars that are environmentally friendly, not burning fossil fuels. They're doing the same thing that you want them to do. And all of a sudden now the cars, because it's from Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is Doge, and Elon Musk is aligned with President Trump, now the cars are bad. It doesn't make sense, folks. It doesn't make sense. So attacking these cars, in which, folks, by the way, you smash these cars, the cars have these automatic cameras. You get within a proximity, the cameras automatically turn on. So as you're vandalizing the dealerships, private property, the Teslas themselves, you're on candid camera, folks. Can you get any dumber? Can you truly get any dumber? Listen, I'm trying to see if I can get a hold of our next guest. So if you see me turning a little away from the camera, I'm looking at my phone, trying to make sure I key in the correct phone number to send him the message, which I hope I just did that correctly. Yes, let's do that. And all right, hopefully that went through. I don't know if I did that correct. It seems like one of the numbers keeps on. No, that did. Okay. We'll see whether or not he does come in, call in earlier. But, you see this? So here she is, just trying to get these postcards, a handful of them. She's not got billboards or anything. Personal postcards, and Staples won't print it. And yet we see that they're printing out, I can't say Staples is, but people are carrying these printed signs with 8647. And I love the signs that they carry that say, impeach Musk. Well, you can't impeach someone who's not been elected. So you can't impeach Musk. I mean, I was cracking up when I saw those signs. But you see what's going on here, folks. It's like, it's the law for me. I mean, it's one way for me, and for you, it's completely different. You've got to do what I say. And even you nasty MAGA people. Oh, what did Bumblebrain Biden call us when Trump was driving the garbage truck? He goes, "Oh yeah, MAGA supporters, the garbage." They called us garbage. Hillary Clinton calls us deplorables. Oh, we got called Hobbit. What else have we been called? We've been called fascists. We've been called every name in the book. But if you say that you're a Zionist, that you support Israel's right to exist, you're a fascist. Byron Donalds went down in Florida to one of the Tesla protests. God bless him. I hope he does get elected in Florida as the next governor. I'm pulling for him. There's other good people running, but this guy's got guts. He goes directly into a Tesla protest, African American, and next thing, a woman approaches him, calls him every name in the book, including an Uncle Tom, and a fascist. And he's had such grace. I wish I had that clip. Someone else had posted it, but they had other garbage in there, so it kind of like wasn't something I would present here. But if you do find it out there, guys, send me, just email me through the website southernsense.net that video, and I'd be happy to play it. Or if you got a link up in the chat room on one of theirs, post a link, and I can have the ability to pull up the screen and play it here, right now. Otherwise, he went and he faced him down. He honestly did face him down. And you think about what is going on the left, these massive protests coming up spontaneously. No. How do you arrange a nationwide protest at the same time on last Saturday across the nation? There's money behind this, folks. There's big money behind this because the signs are all pre-printed. There are some handprinted ones, but they're pre-printed. Times and places have been arranged. There's money behind it. The same way we had where it was the Black Lives Matter, the Antifa, the Occupy Wall Street. When they went to look at the actual protesters, they monitored them by their smart device, time and location. And the same individuals kept on showing up across the nation, whether it was Los Angeles, San Francisco, Sacramento, Chicago, Detroit, New York, Philadelphia. It was the same individuals. You go up on Craigslist, you saw ads saying, if you want to go to these protests, contact us, we'll pay you. If you draft people, we'll give you extra money. Someone is behind this. And you know what? Maybe Pam Bondi and Kash Patel can turn around and find out exactly who this is. Because someone is doing domestic terrorism. And we're the targets. We have the audacity to speak out against this. We are the targets. I mean, I have a friend of mine attends my tea parties to see him driving a Tesla, and I saw him pull up in the grocery store, and I'm saying a silent prayer for him, hoping that no one turns around and attacks him. I had someone come over to my house yesterday to give me a quote on some work I needed done. He pulls up in my driveway driving a Tesla, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I've got the American flag and stuff all over the place. And if someone sees a Tesla in my driveway, I'm hoping they don't firebomb the driveway and the Tesla in the driveway. That is how it is, where I'm now concerned about my own safety if I walk anywhere near a Tesla. You fear for yourself now because of what is going on. You saw in that video that we just played that one guy that went up in her face and cursed her out. And this is a customer telling to shut the blank up. This is how divisive our nation has gotten. It used to be, we can have a conversation with a neighbor. We can be on the opposite end of the political spectrum. Oh, you got your crazy neighbor Charlie next door. He voted for Obama, so what? But you could still have a picnic with them and share a beer. But it's gotten to the point now here, we can't. You can't anymore? This is something I wanted to talk to Dr. Carole Lieberman with, because we have allowed the media and the dark state working with the media to censor our voices. We have been allowed to be cowed. I was going to have a guest on today. He's dealing with trying to present a different version of how to look at history in a different way. And I thought it was very clever, very artistic. And then when he looked at my website and saw that I am politically conservative, I am a Trump supporter, I believe in Doge. I believe what they're doing here is the correct thing to do. There's some places they need to tone it down and maybe listen to calmer heads at times. That's for another topic. But it was a time where you could have a conversation. And he basically said, no, the only time I turn on TV is when I watch basketball. And that's sad. When you're even afraid to turn on the TV to listen to the opposing views. I mean, my husband will turn on MSNBC and CNN and everything else, and he goes through it, and I yell at the TV. But I do listen to what they're saying. I want to know what's coming from the other side. And you know what I found? Listening just the other day? Even CNN is starting to admit that maybe we are right. Maybe there are voices on our side for people to listen to. When CNN runs a poll and found that 53% of the nation is agreeing with what Donald Trump is doing these first few months in office, CNN is saying maybe there's something to this. Maybe we should stop and listen to the other voices on the other side. Maybe it is to be open about other perspectives without passing judgment on the other side. Yes, I'd like to hear what they say. And if you say something stupid, I'm going to tell you, you said something stupid. And perfect example, someone did a video where he approached a woman doing an anti-Doge, anti-Tesla protest. And she was saying some crazy stuff like, I'm trying to remember how it goes. We wanted to kill Medicare for all. We wanted to get rid of Medicare completely. No, there will always be people that will need Medicare, but Medicare is run by the states. The federal government just funnels the money back to the states, and the states decide how that money is spent. That's not Doge. Doge may be finding waste and fraud in it. Of course they are. And that's what they're cutting out. You know, we have to listen to what they're saying. And then we have to turn around and not let the media decide for ourselves, decide what we're supposed to think. You know, you can take it on an advisement, but you got to listen to both sides. You have to have a chance to give them a chance to listen to both sides. You know, I went and spoke to a Rotary Club a couple weeks back, and the topic was, what does it mean to be an American? And I thought about that. And for those that listen to the show, I'm only second-generation American. I've been married to two immigrants that fled communist nations. My grandfather fled the birth of fascism in Italy. He knew Mussolini, and he knew he wasn't going to live unless he came here. And I thought hard about, why did my grandparents come here? And after we won the war to end old wars, why didn't they go back home to their families back there? After World War II, why didn't they go back to their homes, to their families there? But they chose to stay here. They chose to become Americans. And there's got to be something special, something very different about our nation that doesn't exist anywhere else in the globe. And it goes back to our very roots. It goes back to the Bible. And when God made man, he gave us dominion over the world, but he also gave us individuality. He gave us freedom of will. He gave us the ability to rule ourselves, to recognize a higher power, but to be able to control our environment and ourselves. He gave us self-will. And with that, he said, in order for you to have dominion over yourself and all this, there should be a set of laws. And he gave us the 10 commandments, 10 basic laws. And in those laws, he told us not to covet what other people have, to respect your neighbors, your family. He tells us not to murder. He doesn't say not to kill, because if you need self-preservation, that is to be, but to not murder, to make a senseless killing. Not to steal. He gave us the basic rules to live with, the foundations. And that foundation came to be when King Harold codified English common law. And it was the first time in living history, in English common law, it recognized that you as an individual have the right to own a weapon to defend yourself and your property. It recognized that you were a human being of equal worth to the ruling class, to preserve your own life if it is threatened and your property, to own a weapon. That has never been before in law. You were always a subject. There was the ruling class, and then there was everyone else. And you were a subject or a slave, a servant, and then there was the ruling class. And for the first time, English common law recognized the equality of all men. And they took that and they created the Magna Carta. And it said, yeah, we recognize you as having been our ruler, our leader, basically our executive branch, But we as citizens have rights of liberty, of freedom. And when we where's the Magna Carta? And when we found, well, the English and the Dutch and everyone else just going back to the old ways. No, there had to be a new way. So the Pilgrims came over to the United States, or what is to be the United States. They came to America. But on the journey over, they recognized they needed to form a self-governing body. And they created the Mayflower Compact. And it was in the first time then that they also included the indentured servants as an equal partner in this Mayflower Compact. They recognized English common law, the Magna Carta, in the Mayflower Compact, and they recognized limited government and government by we, the people. How innovative, how very, very innovative. And from that grew our Declaration of Independence, the recognizing the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that pursuit is not a guaranteed happiness, but giving you the chance to dream and to seek your goal. Before then, if you were born in a family of carpenters, you became a carpenter. If you were born in a family of tailors, you became a tailor. You didn't have that right of self-determination, of will. Something that became known as subsidiarity. This was also recognized in the European Union. Subsidiarity. It means that you are competent to determine for yourself what is right for you. The will of the people, the will to govern yourself. The Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, the creation of the states. Benjamin Franklin recognized the Indian tribes around him was a loose confederation. Each one acted as its own little body, and yet unified under one central government. And Benjamin Franklin said, what an idea. Each colony becomes a state, governing over itself, and yet unified as a United States of America. A central government, a legislative, judicial, and executive branch, but limited powers. The main powers exist on the states. 13 enumerated powers only are given to the federal government. They're not supposed to be telling us what toilet to buy, how much water we can flush, what light bulb, whether or not it's an incandescent or an LED. All that was never intended. That's for the individual states to determine. And even, yes, to the right of choice. Pro-choice, pro-life. That is a state determination. It should never have been a federal determination. And this ideal that we can be a diverse group and yet united in one common goal. Freedom, liberty, our self-determination. Yeah, we can disagree on subjects, but yet we are united in one ideal, that we have the ability and free will to express those ideals, to exchange them peacefully, civilly. We have a right to disagree, and yet we remain united in freedom, in liberty. That's why we can go back, and that's why we stay here. We have a special guest as I do my lecture on what it means to be an American, and he should know. Let's bring on Mr. Sal Litvak. Good afternoon, Sal. How are you? And thank you for joining us early.
Hello, Annie. It's great to be with you.
I have to apologize. I normally have a co-host, which I shoot back and forth with, but he had some medical things to do today, so he left me high and dry.
Well, I'll try to do my best and be two people.
Well, I'm checking out your website. I played a clip earlier. I don't know if you posted it or someone else did from Jew Hate Database, where this young woman went into Staples. She's Black, she's Jewish, she's a Zionist, and Staples would not print her postcards. And then a fellow customer attacks her. And I found that so outrageous because, we used to be able to have expressions. We can disagree, and you can walk past me wearing a T-shirt that says Black Lives Matter. So what?
Yeah.
But for Staples to say that using the word Zionism is hate speech, I'm sorry, what planet are we on?
So much that has happened. First of all, going back to COVID, everything that has happened since COVID was unimaginable before COVID. And then they took it to a whole other level after October 7th. And it's almost like this respite that we had for 80 years after the Holocaust, where the Jew haters went underground, so to speak. It's over. And they're just, being loud and proud with their virulent Jew hatred. It's terrible.
It is, and it's inexcusable. Now, I gotta have something explained to people because you have a website called the Accidental Talmudist. Can you explain what that is? A Talmudist?
Sure. A Talmudist is somebody who spends time studying the Talmud. And the Talmud is essentially the oral tradition in Judaism. When the Torah was given into the world at Mount Sinai, right? God took the Jewish people, the children of Israel, out of slavery in Egypt with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. And we'll be celebrating that tomorrow night at Passover. But through signs and wonders, the miracles of the 10 plagues, the splitting of the sea, and then the greatest moment in human history, when God revealed God's self into the world, into history, and gave the 10 commandments at Mount Sinai. And then Moses ascended, and God dictation was essentially God's secretary for receiving the rest of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. And along with the written Torah came the oral Torah. And it is crucial that the Torah would come in these 2 conjoined parts, written and oral, because no document could cover every situation that would come up over history. And so the oral tradition, which included a few specific laws given at that time, but also initiated a process where the elders in every generation would be able to answer the new questions as science and medicine and history and geopolitics, brought new questions into the world.
Well, I got to let you know, we're up on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Rumble, and Substack live at this moment. And I got to tell you, I grew up in New York, and I had businesses and everything in New York, and I left the corporate world to do an exact opposite. I'm retired out of NYPD, and I was stationed in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, Bushwick, Williamsburg. So I actually walked a footpost up and down Lee Avenue.
Thank you for your service, Annie. Thank you so much.
Well, a matter of fact, my partner and I, when we did that, because we had a lot of fun, especially on Lee Avenue. We would go do tap dancing with our nightsticks, singing "Tea for Two" down Lee Avenue. So when I saw you come on with that hat, the first thing that went through my mind was the Yid with the lid.
Yeah, for those who can't see, my hat says Guns N' Moses, and that refers to my upcoming movie. It's on festivals right now. It's going to open across America, 300 theaters in July. And it's an action thriller. And it's the story of a rabbi with a gun, a rabbi who's forced to become a gunfighter after his community is violently attacked. Starring Mark Feuerstein, Neil McDonough, Alona Tal, Christopher Lloyd, that everyone loves from Back to the Future, and Dermot Mulroney. Yeah.
Great. Absolutely excellent. Because there's more to that title. I wrote it down here, was Guns N' Moses. I can't read my handwriting. Holy cow. My God and Glock. No, may God and Glock protect you. May God. Could not read my handwriting.
May God and your Glock protect you. I think you'll appreciate this, Annie. It played at a festival in Atlanta, and everywhere we've shown it to an audience, the audience loves it. It's a movie that really brings people together. On the one hand, you have Jews, often politically liberal in the non-Orthodox world anyway, but also Christians and conservatives, and they just love the movie. But there's some, kind of super progressive liberals who get triggered by anything having to do with guns. And there was one critic down there who wrote, "I don't think that 'May God and your Glock protect you' is the kind of catchphrase we need right now." So I would just strike the "I don't think"
and leave it at.
No,
May God and your God protect you was the kind of catchphrase we need right now.
No, wait a minute. October 7th?
Yes,
Maybe.
yes,
Maybe.
yes.
Yeah. And when I heard that may God and your Glock protect you, I kind of cracked up because I'm thinking, all right, where did I put mine?
I mean, listen, again, audiences love the movie, but there's always that one in the room, right? So we had a Q&A at one of these screenings. A woman gets up and says, I don't have a question. I have a statement. And I know you've done enough public speaking that when you get that,
yeah,
buckle
like,
up.
all right, here we go.
Here we go. So she says, do we really need another another movie about Jews and guns? I said, excuse me, ma'am, what was the other movie about Jews and guns? She says, well, you're lionizing bro culture. At this, I'm utterly confused. I'm like, what are you talking about? The women characters in our movie are very strong. One trains the rabbi how to shoot. Another is a former special forces operative. Another, is just a lioness protecting her children. He says, well, it's the guns. We have to fight Jew hatred with speeches and with articles and editorials, not with guns. I said, ma'am, you're absolutely right. We have to fight Jew hatred with those tools. But if a bad guy comes into our house of worship or in our home, please God, it should never happen. At that moment, the guy with a pen is not what you need. You need me and my gun and people like me who have a lot of training. I was not a gun guy, but when the danger started increasing to our community, I stepped up like a bunch of other people in our Orthodox community. And joined an organization called Magen Am, Shield of the Nation. And we go through so much training. The qualifications we have to pass are, stiffer than what FBI agents have to pass. And we get licensed and we carry. And please God, we should never need these skills. But if we do, we will not be a soft target. Part of the responsibility of Never Again is that, we empower ourselves to defend our communities.
It's funny because they think that guns are the bad thing. Well, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Women do enjoy firing. Yeah, we do enjoy protecting ourselves and our families and our property. We have the right to do the same thing. So why is the assumption is only the bad people and then the guys with the guns? Well, I'm sorry. There are many times I wish there was a good citizen with a licensed firearm behind me rather than someone else. It's not just a Jewish thing. It is a protecting public safety, because if they go after you, they're going to go after me. Yeah. And then if I don't stand and defend myself or you, then they'll go down to the next person. And how did that line go from the Holocaust? First they came for, and they went down the line, and then finally they came for me, and there was no one there.
Exactly.
And they don't understand that. And guns are not the problem. It's the person that is holding it. I mean, I can put my gun by my front door. It doesn't get up and walk out the door and start shooting. It doesn't self-fire unless I physically pick it up. Only then will it go into action. It is a tool.
There are terrorists who drive vehicles into crowds. Are we going to ban all vehicles? I mean, of course, we have to get at the root causes of why is there evil in society, and we have to be prepared to defend ourselves and our neighbors against that evil.
And which is what you are doing, which is what I'm doing. And we have to have that conversation. Yeah. And unless we have that conversation, we're not going to get the other side to realize, wait a minute, they're there protecting me, maybe. And maybe we can get that through their head. All right, fine. It's okay for you not to want a gun. That's perfectly fine. But you're going to be very happy if something happens and I'm standing there next to you.
Just so. Now, I do think what can be a consensus viewpoint on both sides of this issue is that people who have guns should be well trained in how to use them. The last thing we need is yahoos who go down and buy it and think, well, I know what I'm doing. Because, God forbid you ever need it and you're facing a bad guy under pressure. If you don't have a lot of reps under your belt, you will not fire accurately and you won't know what to do and you will be scared and bad things can happen. So, I do believe that gun owners should have a lot of practice in using them.
Well, it's essential with any tool. Any
Yes.
tool, you're going to have to learn how to use that. Because if you don't, you're going to get hurt, or someone else is going to get hurt, or whatever you're doing is going to cause damage. So, like any tool, you must know how to use it. And the same goes with this sort of a media that we're doing. We have a tool here, and unless we use it smartly and safely, you're going to have the other side that's blowing up the world, like the signs for 8647. Have you seen those?
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're referring to. 86.
Well, when you see the Tesla and Doge things, you're now seeing signs and messages across the internet saying 8647. 86 as in 86 that dish, 86 that idea. Cut that idea out, throw it out. And what's 47? Donald J. Trump.
I see.
So it's an open call to violence. So they're using media like this. And again, that's a tool. And that's one of the things that you and I have been fighting. You have a great article. This came on the Jewish Journal about Wikipedia going after the Heritage Foundation.
Yeah. I mean the people the knots that they twist themselves into, for example, claiming that Donald Trump is an anti-Semite and that he's an enemy of the Jewish people. I'm like, okay, this has been the most pro-Israel president ever. He's so attuned to the needs and danger confronting the Jewish people. Sadly, there's this large percentage of the Jewish people that are just against him, no matter what he says or does. They don't listen to their own reason and rationality. They've just been taught to hate, and it's a knee-jerk hatred at this point. But what their arguments to prove their point make no sense whatsoever. Crazy times we're living in.
It is crazy time. And when you listen to the rhetoric that's coming out from the other side, I just sometimes shake my head and it's like, well, did they actually look at the subject before they started speaking about it?
Yeah.
Did they actually realize what they're talking about? And Wikipedia is a perfect example that, here Heritage Foundation is saying we have a rash of anti-Semitism. I believe it was in California, in just 1 year, it was up 153% in California alone. Yeah. Forget about Chicago, New York, or any other major city. And this is where you're seeing it in major urban areas. The major anti-Semitism, the attack on students going to colleges because they're Jewish.
Yeah.
And then heaven forbid we have the agitators that have links to radical Arab groups, Muslim groups, and now, heaven forbid, we're now deporting them. We're saying you don't have a stupid student visa. And it's like, well, the mean Jews did this. No, you incited a riot. You incited bigotry. You're here in the United States, and it says on your visa that you're not supposed to participate in a public protest. You're not supposed to be doing X, Y, Z, and yet here you are on camera citing anti-Semitism. And how dare Trump deport you?
These people often aren't even students at the schools where they're creating those demonstrations. They're literally paid agitators. No, I have no sympathy for them. Bye-bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
That's what I was just going to say. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. I mean,
we are certainly a nation of freedom of speech, thank God. And if you have an opinion, great. But this is far beyond expressing an opinion. When you're stopping students from going to class, when you're inciting violence against them, that's something else entirely.
I mean, the level of violence that has risen in the last, I would say, 16 years. It started actually before that. It has escalated every single year. Back in 2009, we formed our Tea Party here where I live, and I still run it 15 years straight, 16 now. And I was asked to go to the local college, and that was the thing to get out the vote, to get people to register to vote and to give different political viewpoints. So they had the Democrats, they had the Greens, and I was there representing with some Republicans, and I was representing the Tea Party. And everyone gets up to speak, and they are completely given politeness. And then when some of the people from the Republican club were getting ready, they were getting nervous. They said, will you go up and speak for us? I said, okay, fine, I did. I got up to speak, and next thing I know, I was getting heckled. I was getting cut off. I barely could get out 4 or 5 words. And I stopped. And I said, you know what? We may not always agree with the other side, but we gave them perfect time and we were polite and let them have their say. Now give me the same respect. And the other side turns around and says, she's right. She gave us time. She didn't make faces. She didn't say, do anything. She gave us complete respect. Give it back. You don't have that today. You can't even get as far as that, because a perfect example, again, in the Jewish Journal, of the two IDF soldiers that were speaking at CSU in San Marcos. They had to be cut off for security reasons because they were being threatened. Now, these are soldiers. These are the Israeli Defense Forces soldiers who are trained, and yet they had to be protected because the violence level has risen that high. So, Sal, how are we going to get our nation to take that level and tone it all the way back down?
It is a wonderful question. How are we going to do it? We certainly have to model the behavior that we're calling for, and I think we do. It's just part of the nature of our side in this debate that we are civil. How do we get the other side to act civil? I don't know. There was a period in Jewish history where there was a similar level of rancor. And it was known as the debate between Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai, right? So there were two sort of houses that were both very dedicated to the Bible and to the law and to following God's law. But they had diverged on a number of important questions. And they were each side was so convinced that they were right that it was like a looming civil war and a split within the Jewish community. This was in the Second Temple period. Sort of late Second Temple period. And so what happened? A voice emerged from heaven. And maybe this is what we're all waiting for, is this voice to emerge from heaven. And the voice said that these and these are the words of the living God. In other words, both sides were committed to the truth. But the law follows Beis Hillel, the house of Hillel. And why? Because the students of the house of Hillel state the opinions of their opponents before their own. And implied within that is that they state the opinions of their opponents in a way that their opponents would say, yes, that's my opinion. Right now, in political discourse in America, it's so angry, it's so heated, it's so over the top that you can't get people to say, could you oppose me? Could you please state what my opinion is? And they go right to, sarcasm, right? If they will say it at all, they'll say it sarcastically. And very often you can't even get them to state the opinion that's opposite their own. But people who can state the opinion of the other side and in a fair manner have now laid the groundwork for completely different kind of discourse, genuine civil discourse. And by the way, they're going to be much more effective advocates because then they'll get people to listen to them now that they've been respected enough that their position was stated fairly.
Well, I've got to let the listeners know that one of the reasons why you're here is because you've also got a new book out. All right. And believe it or not, I've actually been reading it. And the funny part is when I heard the title of the book and I thought about it, I said, if you remember back in late 60s, early 70s, there was a book published, and on one half of the book was Polish jokes, the authentic Polish jokes. On the back half of the book was the authentic Italian jokes. Yeah. And I'm half Italian, and we were joking around and says, listen, when we go to the bookstore, the local stationery store, how much you want to bet the Italian half is ripped off and the Polish half is put back on the shelf? And sure enough, that is what was happening. So, I mean, I'm thinking, but they were the same exact jokes, but they were told in a Polish way and in an Italian way. And as I'm reading yours, it brought back a lot of memories. And God bless my husband. I'm a newlywed, husband number 3. And there's a whole Jewish joke in that one alone.
They'd be the last.
But he can't tell a joke for the life of him. And as I was reading your book, I came across one and I said, this is perfect. I said, this is because I was sitting around and I was the only female among 4 other men. And so I told the joke And it says there's a husband and wife. They're always fighting, no matter what happens. The husband was feeling bad and felt he wanted to keep this marriage. So he decided he was going to take his wife on this beautiful vacation, romance her, love her. And they decided to go to Tahiti. They get off the plane and they're doing fine until they get to the hotel. And all of a sudden it all blows up. And he's going, oh, it's all ruined. I got to get out of here. He goes for a walk on the beach just to clear his head and say, all right, fine. How do I solve this? And as he's walking the beach, he sees this lump in the sand and he goes and digs and he pulls it up. It's a little lamb. And he's cleaning it off. And as he's cleaning off, he rubs it and out pops a genie. And he goes, thank you, master, for releasing me. I'll give you one wish. And the man thought and thought. And he looked back at the hotel and he says, no, this has to be a really important wish. So he pulls out a map and he says, this is the Middle East. Can you give us peace in the Middle East? And the genie looks at him and goes, there's no way I can grant that wish. That's too difficult. You have to give me a single wish. He goes, all right, looks at the hotel again. He goes, I want to know what's on a woman's mind. And the genie looks at him. He goes, what? Give me that map.
Very good.
How did I-
You're good at it. You're very good. So the book that Annie's referring to is my best-selling book, Let My People Laugh, Greatest Jewish Jokes of All Time. And thank God, yeah, it's a bestseller in a few categories on Amazon. And I feel that I'm an inheritor of the Jewish humor tradition. I've always been captivated by these jokes, and I've collected the very best of them and adapted them for the modern ear. There's 163 jokes in the book. And I did add one. I added one joke to the reservoir, but I never tell people which one it was. They have to guess, and if they do, they get a T-shirt.
Well, I think I'm up to. Let's see. I was not completely through the book. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Where's my Kindle? There it is. I think it was 90 something on the book.
Yes, the jokes are
96. Yeah, the number 96. So you can tell the jokes by whatever number it is. And if you remember, number 14. Oh yeah, that's a really good one, isn't it? Which is another joke in itself.
Exactly. And the reason that I numbered the jokes is because there are lists at the front, greatest Jewish jokes for a fundraising speech, for a sermon, for a first date, for a day at the golf course with your buddies. And since some jokes appear on multiple lists, they all needed to be numbered. But it was a bit of an allusion to the classic joke about the fella who's always been trying to get an invitation to the Friars Club in New York. And then he finally finds a member and takes him in. And he can't believe he's sitting there at a table with the most famous comedians in the world, these old guys who've been on the circuit for decades. And they're sitting around a table, and one of them says 32, and everybody laughs. And another guy says 54, and everybody laughs. And the new guy says, what's going on? And the member who brought him in says, well, these guys have been telling all the same jokes for years. They don't even bother telling them. They just numbered them. He says, oh, wow, can I try? Be my guest. So he stands up and he says, 38. And everybody stares at him. And he sits down sheepishly and he says, what happened? The guy says, you told it wrong.
Well, I got to be honest. I told you I'm half Italian and half German. And my grandmother, God bless her, she goes, Anuch, you know the only thing between an Italian and a Jew. And I says, no, Grandma, what is it? She goes, the only thing we put tomato in our chicken and soup.
I love it.
Which, is basically the same thing we've been saying. We are all human. We are all the same. And if we treat each other with dignity and respect and listen to each other, rather than deciding, I'm going to be right and you're going to be wrong, and the heck with it, and you're going to have to listen and do what I say.
Yeah.
Give them the same dignity and respect that you demand, give it to someone else. And that is what America is about.
Absolutely. And we've gotten away from that. We've really gotten away from that. And I think that part of the problem, and I suspect you're going to agree with me, is how manipulative the media has become. And that people form opinions not based on good facts and information, but what they believe are facts and are actually an agenda-driven media that's profiting from keeping us terrified and furious with each other.
Well, I've got a camera here that likes to go in and out on me, so that's why if you see me popping back and forth, if I move the mouse, it changes. But the one parting thought, because I'm seeing we're down to our last 5 minutes, and God bless you, thank you for joining us here. One of the things I said in my Rotary speech, the closing remark is, does God make mistakes? And the answer is no. God placed me in this body, on this time, in this place, on this earth. And it's up to me to determine what his will is. It's what I do with that makes me who I am, not the color of my skin or my gender or anything else. It's what he put inside my soul, my heart. And if I can listen to God and hear his message and bring it forth, then I am doing his will.
Spectacular. That's so beautiful. I'm so glad to hear you say that. I actually teach it a very similar lesson every day, or almost every day with my students. I teach every day a Talmud class, a daily class. And I'm very often telling people, what is the first commandment that God gave into the world? What is it, Annie? What is the first commandment?
Thou shalt love the Lord thyself. Thou shalt love thy Lord thy God.
With all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy resources. Some would say that that's the most important commandment, but it was not the first. The first commandment was actually be fruitful and multiply. That was the first commandment God gave into the world. Now, that commandment is often understood to mean you shall have kids, and it's very important that there'll be a next generation. But if that's all it meant, it would suffice to say multiply. So the question is, what does be fruitful mean? And not everybody is blessed to have children, but everybody can bear fruit in this world. And what it means to bear fruit is to ask yourself, why was I sent into this world? We don't have souls. We are souls. We have bodies. Mm-hmm. So we were sent into this world and into this lifetime and walking around in a body for as many years as we're granted for a reason. There's a mission that each of us have. And sadly, we come with amnesia, so we don't remember what the mission is. But all our lives, we have to keep asking, what is the fruit that only I can bear? What is the problem that only I can solve? What is the contribution that only I can make? And if you keep asking that question, it will come into focus.
Absolutely. We in ourselves imprint ourselves on others, and what we imprint on them is what is being fruitful and multiply. We're out of time, Sal, so we definitely have to have you come back. It is so much fun. I knew I was going to have a blast with you. I knew it. Thank you, Grandma. Take care and God bless. All right. And with that, folks, we will be back in 2 weeks because next week is Good Friday. And Good Friday, I do not broadcast, but we will see you in 2 weeks. Until then, I say good night and God bless.
I'm praying for this land I love, America, America, the home of the free. But there are people making plans to change America. They've no respect for her or what matters most to me. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Mourn for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. Do you hear our battle cry across America? We've got to rescue her. You know it's up to me and you to see the truth behind their lies. Don't change America. God bless America and the red, white, and blue. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Lord, for the friends I have loved and lost. America. For the friends we have loved and lost, and we still believe in God we trust, in the freedom our forefathers granted us. We know it's not too late to save America. Save America. Let's save America. Together we can save America.